What's up, y'all? Welcome back to CodyCrafted. Today we've got a fresh one started for you. This one's slightly special. And by slightly, I mean it's very special. We're getting my wife out of her Equinox, and we are going to give this thing the once over, head to tail. And then in the next video or two, we're going to do a full build on it for you.
Click that like button and subscribe to the channel. Also, if you would like more content, follow social media at CodyCrafted on Instagram.
My wife has been in the same 2013 Chevy Equinox since we bought it new. My kids have never known any car but that one for her, and she likes to keep hers for a long time. But guess what? I finally convinced her to get something new to us. This is a 2018 4Runner SR5 Premium. It's got leather, it's got nav, it doesn't have lockers, but that's okay. We got a great deal on it. It's a super clean vehicle, and we're gonna give it the full once-over pre-buy inspection and do a full 60K service on it so you guys can see how we do it when we do your maintenance. Show you a little something from my days back at the dealership. When everybody comes in and says, what would you put on my GX to make it do X, Y, and Z? Guess what? We're gonna do it to this. So that way people can be like, oh, what's my car gonna ride like when we do Dobinson's IMS? Let's get my wife's car and we'll show you. It's got a few miles on it. We're at 65,000 miles. So the plan is we're gonna do a full 60K service just like back when I was at the dealership, and we're gonna give it a full pre-buy inspection. I'm gonna show you how I look over a car when I buy it. Specifically one that I know pretty well. It's got 265 7017 Coopers and a set of TRD wheels. You know me.
Yeah, you know me.
We're gonna give it the we're not gonna be an Instagram overland hero, but we are gonna do all the fun things that you would normally want to do. We're gonna do all the things that customers usually ask me about. Hey, I want a little bit of lift. I want it to ride good. I still need to be able to drive it 12 hours to Big Bend or Colorado or whatever the case may be. And I want to go out to the deer lease. And I want to go out to the ranch or whatever it is. And I want to be able to do some dirt roads. The wife doesn't need lockers. The wife doesn't need bypasses. The wife doesn't need long travel. Those are coming on other projects. We'll be doing those. If you guys keep liking and sharing and subscribing, otherwise I can't afford to buy parts for all that fancy stuff. So this is my wife Sam's new 4Runner. We haven't named it yet, and let's give it a once-over. Let's make it happen. And then in the next video or two, we're gonna do a build out on it, and I'll tell you all about it. All right, first thing, let's, we got it in, looked it over. Obviously, I drove it a little bit the last day or two just to make sure everything was good, but we need to do our full service on it. And we need to do our pre-buy inspection. So first thing we do when you're looking at a used car, pop the hood, look it over, see how clean it is, look how nasty the battery terminals are, check out the oil on the dipstick, transmission, if you have a dipstick for it. You want to check that fluid, you want to check the coolant level. Let's check that. And how clean is the coolant? Yeah, that's what we're after. Fresh pink fluid. Well, we may not have to do everything because it looks like it might have already had it, but that's good. So we're gonna pop the air filter, and the guys are getting it set up to rack. I gave it a quickie brake inspection through the wheel before I started driving it, and but we'll check everything over underneath too. Clean brake fluid, pretty clean oil, but I'm gonna change it just so I feel safe. Power steering fluid looking a little dingy. We could do a extract and replenish. Let's see, this battery's from August of 23. It's a year old, but the hold down's loose, so that happens. Oh, looky here. We got a K&N. Needs a bath, but we got a K&N. Nice. All right, clean that dude. Man, this thing's just chock full of surprises. It's not horrible, but since we're servicing it, it's definitely time. I don't know how long it's been since I bought a filter charger kit, but all right, now that we got the wheel off, first things first, let's take a look. Looking for shock leakage. It's got a leveling kit on it already. I thought it looked up a little bit. Check for loose bolts. I didn't hear any clunking in the front end, but it's got a, like I said, it's got a spacer kit on it. This ball joint's a little leaky, but that's okay. We're going to replace that when we put our Dobinson suspension on. Brake rotors look pretty good. Pads are in really good shape. Make sure the inners aren't hanging up. Looking good. Brake hardware's attached how it's supposed to, so that's nice. So if you guys can see how some of those tread blocks are dirty and some of them aren't. You can see the dust and then less dust. That is indicative of a toe adjustment being out of whack. And if I had to hazard a guess, let's see. Yeah, it's had an alignment before, because you can see where people have wrenched on the hardware there. Like I said, we got spacer kit in here apparently. Didn't realize that was there when we bought it, but groovy. Inner fender dust shield is real common for those to blow out, so we'll order some aftermarkets on those. And no crash history on Carfax, but we're going to take a look anyway. Tell you what they didn't, maybe. I don't think they loosened the upper control arm when they did the spacer kit. This shock's leaking a little bit. You see the dirt is stuck in here. There's a couple little nicks, a couple little scuffs, some brushing from car washes, a couple rock chips, but you know, it's a 60,000 mile car. Like that spot on the fender right there, no big deal, a little touch-up paint on the fender flare. What you don't want is this blown out, because there's a little tab on the back side of the seam of the bumper, and there's a receiver in here where that clicks into, kind of like a Ziploc bag. And if that tab is torn, then you have to put a whole front bumper on it to get it to ever line back up right. Missing a couple of screws right there, but we got piles of those from doing bumper jobs. This shock leaking just a little bit, not uncommon. 65,000 miles, it's time for suspension anyway. Shocks are usually pretty worn by then. That dog scratch right there. That'll buff out.
Battery's good, radiator's good. That'll buff out.
Better not have been my friggin' dogs. Look at here. There's your leaky shock. Same thing, we're checking the rear here. Looking good, none of this looks like it's been messed with. Rear brake inspection. We're good for a while. Get another oil change or two out of that. Indicative sign on a used car. Rust in the hitch. Means it's towed a little bit. Looks like, based on that circle right there, that it ran around with a hitch lock for a long time. And this side, yep, leaking shock. All the way down. See the difference? See the dirty side and the clean side? A little bit of surface rust here and there. It's a Toyota. It's going to get that muffler. See, it's riding in a different spot than where it used to wear. That means the exhaust has been moved for some reason. Okay, front to back. You can see where that little bit of oil is there. That's from changes, from doing oil changes and dripping. And we'll drop that skid plate here in a second. Looking good, little seepage but no leak. CV boots looking good. No big hits on the A-arms. These A-arms will take hits if it's been off-roaded real hard. I mean, it's not a problem, it just is what it is. No leaks on the trans. Exhaust doesn't look like it's ever been off up here. Transfer case leaks are a thing. That U-joint's looking good. Looking great. You will get a drip between the transfer case and the tranny from time to time. Looks like the drive lines have been lubed properly. Nobody's had this cross member off. Seems like the muffler's shifting around a little bit for some reason, but doesn't really matter. That's been lubed. Needs some fresh. Body mount. Looking good. These steps are coming off. We got sliders coming. Look for signs of the rear diff having been serviced. I see some wetness that's been there, and that looks like that's been off. Checking bushings. Check the condition of the spare. 265/70/17 with a matching wheel. It's upside down. It should be face up, just to keep the wheel from getting chewed up. And looks good. I did notice that the tire light was on when we picked it up. I checked the tires on the ground, and they were all at like 34 psi, so looking good there. But the spare only had 23 or something in it, so I aired it up before I drove it yesterday, and put like 38 in it. And then after running around for half the day, within 24 hours, the tire light was back on. So since the spare was low, I added air, tire light came back on. I'm going to have to run under the assumption that it was the spare. But that's okay, because we're about to drop that guy and take those other ones. And, you know the wheel company we use. That's right. She's getting a set of methods. Looking pretty good here. Guys, we want to yank this. No, you want to yank both these skid plates. This one will hang. So if you just do here and here and there, it'll actually just hang down. And then go ahead and pull this one off. We're going to check the front diff fluid, the rack, and we're going to lube everything up. I'm wondering if those diff services have been done based on how clean the coolant is, because this coolant flush at 60K can be a thing, but I don't know that it's been done. So let's get to work. Fine. The other thing you can do, guys, is look for replacement parts, things that have stickers on them, hardware that's been turned, so like the front bumper mounts, because if you bump into somebody pretty hard, they're gonna have to take those off. All in all, pretty virgin car, so to speak. Front diff's not leaking. Looking good. Motor mount's looking good. You would expect all that at this mileage. You wouldn't expect anything crazy. All right, hot sports tip. Ricky was doing it already, but when you're doing diff services, even if you know you're going to dump the fluid, the first thing you want to do is take the fill plug out, because if it won't come out and you drain all the fluid, number one, it displaces the air and it makes the fluid come out smoother. It doesn't glug glug. But the main reason is if you can't refill it, you better be prepared before you drain it. Whoa, big boy. Whoa, you hear that air? That'll cause leaks. I don't know if you guys could hear that on the camera, but that usually means that the diff breather is gooped up. Okay, so this is your breather. It should have displaced the air. Let's see if it's gonna. Yeah, it's not drawing in. I'm gonna blow a little brake clean through that. I don't think these have a check valve in them. Maybe I'm wrong. Let's hose a little brake clean through that and see if we can make it do something. Let's talk about Toyota oil filters. As you can see, this is canister style, and so this clippy is your lock, and you need the Toyota filter wrench. I've had these caps come apart to the point where they break, and then you have to basically take a chisel and bust it in order for it to come out. Luckily, these caps are readily available at your local auto parts supply. Always replace the O-ring. Fresh wicks, XP, locker in there, and just a little, that's all you need. Don't lean on it. So now what we're gonna do is we're going to drop the spare because we got all the wheels. We got to go get those fresh Methods mounted up because I can't own anything that doesn't have Method race wheels. Shout out to Method race wheels. Alrighty, we got our oil filled back up and we got her back on the ground. Tires are back on, but I'm not showing you those yet because I had to go get new ones. That's right. Last thing, and actually, you know, back in the dealership days, this was the first thing, is open the glove box. And up in here, we got a cabin air filter we got to check. That door comes out. That door comes off. This is a great way to know if the person you're buying your car from took good care of it or not. Because if they never actually change a cabin air filter, then you know there was a lot of things they didn't do. It has definitely been changed, but it is certainly time for another one. All right, let's see if we can get O'Reilly's to bring us one on a Saturday. I'll have to call. That is right. That is the Method 314. I have been trying for like 3 years to get somebody to put these on something. And when we started talking about this car, I showed them to my wife, and she was like, yes. All right, well, that is your pre-buy inspection. Of course, I probably should talk about how you can go to the door jambs and feel right here and look for overspray, and when you pop the hood, look for the screws and the fenders being turned. One of the major tells, like I say, specifically on Toyota stuff, is this bumper fitment right here. You want it to sit like that. The overspray in the door jambs is a big one. Buffing compound that never got washed out. A drip. That's sheet metal. But sometimes you'll get like clear coat drip off of the back of the hood and under here. And then there's been a million times that I've looked at a car and you can see that all the bolts are turned, that you can just see the marks on the heads, and you can see the, where somebody ran them down with a socket or with a cordless ratchet or whatever, and they're not in the same place where they had been. Overspray on bolts, mismatched bolts, that happens a lot in sloppy body shops. And just because a car has had repair work doesn't mean that it's dead, doesn't mean that it's useless. What it does mean is that you got to look deeper and make sure you find out all the answers to all the things that you need to make sure you've got a good car and not a boogered back together piece of shit. So, if you need a pre-buy inspection, jump on CodyCrafted.com, give us a call, shoot us an email, sales@CodyCrafted. If you've got a 4Runner and you need some awesome wheels, shoot us an email, give us a call. We're happy to do it. I'm going to hang the spare back under this thing. We got a soccer game to get to. This is going to be a soccer bomb rig for the time being. And then you can join us for the next phase of the build. We're going to come up a little bit. We're going to do a full Dobinson system underneath it for suspension. And we've got a roof rack, and we got a bumper, and probably a winch, and definitely a set of sliders because I hate those steps. And it's great. Thank you. We appreciate you. Like, share, subscribe, blah, 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 all the things. You got it. Y'all be good. We'll see you on the next one.